Jai Hind everyone. Today we have to be discussed here understanding of loops in C, and there are three type of loops: for loop, while loop, and the do while loop. So myself is Anuj Kumar, Assistant Professor in Computer Science and Engineering Department, Akgec Engineering College, Ghaziabad. These are the outlines. Firstly, we have to be discussed introduction of loop, means why we are using the loop. Then we have to be discussed the for loop. Then we have to be while loop, do while loop, and what is the main basic difference between these three loop and where we have to be apply the loops. And last one is the we have to be do some best practice and policy. So basically, introduction loop, when we have to be print something in computer programming, when we have to be print something and someone we have to be declare many times and we have to be repeat one problem again and again. So instead of this, we are using the loop. So we have using this loop, we can be use a conditions in the block of the code when a condition is met. So code constructor that repeat a block of code means if we are not be using the for loop, so we have to be repeat some statement again and again. So we can say that this is a block of code. So we have to be repeat this block of code again and again. So instead of this, we have to be use the loops. Why we use loop? Because it avoid the repetition of the code. If some lines can be repeat again and again, we have to be write only these line inside the loop only one time and it will be print. Second one, it process data efficiently, means we have to be when we are doing the some calculations or we are using some data. Suppose we have to be calculate the sum and average of the 5 subjects marks. So it had better we are using an array. We have to be declare an array and we are using the loop so that we can be process the output. Where means we have to be find out the sum and we have to be calculate the average. There are the three types that we have to be discussed type of loop. There are the three type of loops we are using. Number one is the for loop, second one is the while loop, and third one is the do while loop. We can be use any type of loops when we are doing the programming, but there are the some points keep somewhere where we can be use the for loop and where we are using the while loop and where we are using the do while loop. So again in the next slide we have to be explain individually what is for loop, what are the conditions of for loop, how we can be applied. Then we have to be use the while loop and then we again next one is the do while loop. So when we are starting the for loop, in the for loop when we are doing the some programming, first one we need three things. First one we have to be initialization. Second one we have to be define the termination condition. Third one we have to be apply the increment or decrement. Or we can say that the updation of values. So when we are doing the programming, so basically we have required the three things. First, we have to be initialize a variable, a method. Then we have to be declare the termination conditions, mean how much we have to be print, and then we have to be updation the value, means we have to be increase or decrease. So in the for loop, it will be defined we have to be initialize three conditions in a single line, and the syntax is we are using the for loop. Firstly, we have to be initialize, then we have to be define the condition and we have to be update the value, or we have to be update the value means we have to be apply the increment or the decrement, and inside this bracket we have to be repeat the code, means we have to be print those line we want to be print, so we are to be put here. So how it will be work? So the basic flow chart of this is firstly we have to be the start, means we have to be start, then we have to be initialize, then we have to be check the conditions, and if condition is true it will be execute and update the value of, means so we have to be defined. Firstly we have to be draw the flow chart. Firstly we have to be start, then we have to be initialize first, then we have to be initialize, then we have to be check the conditions, mean we are using this condition, or maybe this is true or this is false. This is true or this is false. Then we have to be, if condition is true, it will be execute and print something. And last we have to be update the value. After this, then if it will be execute, so it will be update the value. So it will be flow like this. So basically, firstly, what we do when we have to be initialize, suppose we have to be print some values. So we have declare first we have to be initialize a variable, suppose int I equal to 1. Then we have to be define the condition I is less than equal to n, and then we have to be suppose update the value or decrease the values. How it will be work? Firstly, it will be initialize. This is the first step where the for loop goes. After this, it will be check the condition. It will be check the condition. If condition is true, so we can be say that the second point we have to be define the condition. If condition is true, it will be go inside this brackets, or it will be print something that we have to be written here. After that, it will be update the value. So we can be defined that it will be basically execute in the 4 step. First one, it will be initialize. Second one, then it will be define the condition. Third one, it will be print the value or which we can be written inside this bracket. After that, it will be update the value. So the step 1, firstly we have to be initialize the loop variable. We have to be initialize this variable. Second one, it check the conditions. It check the conditions I is less than n. If condition is true, then it will be execute, means it will be go inside this block, it will be execute, and then we have to be update the loop values, repeat again and again. So here how it will work? Firstly, we have to be start, then we have to be initialize the loop variables in I equal to 1, then we have to be check the conditions. If condition is true, it will be execute by the loop body, then it will be update the loop value. If condition, and again it will be goes through this, and at last we have to be end of the program. We have to be take a simple examples. Suppose we have to be print some values. So what is the condition? Firstly, we have to be initialize a variable. Here we have to be initialize a variable. We are taking a variable I, and which is type of, this is the integer type. Condition is that it will be I is less than equal to 5, and we have to be update the value, means we are using the increment of the value of I. I plus plus means I equal to I plus 1, and inside this we have to be print the value of I. So how does this output comes? Firstly, it will be I equal to 1, and second one, it will be check the condition 1 is less than equal to 5. In the last slide we have to be discussed, this is the first step, this is second step, this is the third step, and after that we have to be increase or decrease the values. So when we have to be initialize a value I equal to 1, second one, it will be check the conditions I is less than equal to 5, condition is true, it will be go inside this block, and we have to be print the value that is 1, and after that we have to be increase the value of I. So now I equal to 2, again it will be checked 2 is less than equal to 5, it will be go inside this block, and it will print the value of 2, and again it will be increase the value of I. So now I equal to 3, again it will be checked 3 is less than equal to 5, conditions true, it will be go inside this block and print the value of I, that is 3, again it will be increment the value, that is 4. So now I equal to 4, so 4 is less than equal to 5, condition is true, so it will be again inside this, and it will be print the value of I, then update the value of I. Now I equal to 5, 5 is less than equal to 5, no, 5 is not less than equal to, lekin 5 is equal to 5, so it will be condition is true, again it will be go inside this, and it will be print the value of I, that is 5. Now it will be again increase the value of I, now I equal to 6, and if when it will be check the condition 6 is less than equal to 5, that is condition is false, so it will be not go inside this block, it will be comes outside the this block, and on the output we have to be find out the value of 1, 2, 3 and 5. So again we have to be repeat, when we are using the for loop, firstly we have to be initialize variable, then it will be check the conditions. If condition is true, it will be print whatever we have to be written inside this block, and after that it will be update the value, means increase and increment and the decrement. Okay. Second one, now we are using the while loop. In the while loop, what we do in the for loop, we have the 3 conditions. Firstly, we have to be initialize a variable. Second one, we have the condition, and third one, we have to be the update the value. So in the for loop, we have to be define all 3 conditions inside the bracket, but in the for loop, it will what it's sorry, in the while loop, what it will be says, firstly we have to be initialize the variable, and in the while loop we have only checked the conditions. If condition is true, it will be print something, and after that we have to be update the value. So how it will be work? Here we have to be initialize conditions here. Suppose here I am taking int I equal to 1. So this is the first step that we have to be use the initialize the variable. Then we have to be define the conditions while I is less than equal to 5. Same thing, it will be the define the conditions. If condition is true, it will be go inside this block, and inside this block we have, it will be print whatever we want to be print, and after that we have to be increase the value of I. So this is the syntax of the for loop, while loop. What is the difference between for loop and while loop? In for loop, it will be define all the conditions in a single line, but in the while loop, it will be defined separately. And how does it work? What is the flow chart? Firstly, we have to be start, then we have to be check the conditions, then it will be execute. If condition is true, it will be execute the loop. It check conditions before the executions, means when it will be execute, it will be firstly check the conditions. And next one, loop body may never run it condition is initially false. Loops के अंदर जो भी bodies होगी, it can be never run it condition is initially false. Now we have to be show the flow chart. Firstly we have to be start the variable, then we have to be initialize these variable. If initialize variable int I equal to 1, then we have to be check the conditions. If condition is true, it will be execute, and what we are to be print, so it will be print, then we have to be update the value. If condition is false, it will be again go here and check the conditions. After the updation of value, then it will be print here. Same here in the for loop, we have taken the one example, same example I am taking here. Here we are using int I equal to 1. We have to be print the values of I from 1 to 5. I is less than equal to 5 and I plus plus. And instead of for loop, we are using here now while loop. Firstly, we have to be initialize the conditions. All of these are written in the main program. Okay, firstly we have to be initialize I equal to 1, and now we are using the while loop. In the while loop, we have to be define only one conditions, and then we have to be print the value of I. So again it will be I equal to 1, it will be print the I. So print I, now I equal to plus plus means I equal to 2. Again it will be checked 2 is less than equal to 5. So it will be print the value of 2. Now I plus plus, that is 3. Again it will be checked 3 is less than equal to 5. Conditions true. It will be print 3. Now increase the value, that is 4. Again 4 is less than 5. So it will be print 4. And next one, if it will be increase the value of I 5. Condition 5 is less than no, but equal to 5. Yes, condition is true. It will be goes to I and it will be print the 5. So this is the basic for loop. Basically, when we have defined the loop, we had to be define loop in two types. We are defined the two type. One is the entry control loop, and second one is the exit control loop. The example of entry control loop means before the execution, it will be check the conditions. If we are talking here, when we have to be initialize variable in a for loop, firstly it will be initialized, then it will be check the condition to be print anything. Firstly, it will be check the conditions. Again in the same while loop, before printing anything, it will be firstly check the conditions. Means entry control loop means if we want to be prints anything on the screen, so we have to be firstly check the conditions, and when we have to be check the conditions first before printing, it will be known as the entry control loop. And example of entry control loop is, that is, one is for loop, second one is while loop. When we are talking the exit control loop, so same, just reverse of the entry control loop. In the entry control loop, we have to be check the conditions first, then we have to be print the value. And the example is for and the while loop. In the exit control loop, we have to be print something on the screen. After that we have to be check the conditions, and the example is that is do while loop. मीन सिंपली एंट्री कंट्रोल लूप के अंदर क्या होगा, सबसे पहले हम कंडीशंस को चेक करेंगे, कंडीशंस ट्रू होगी तब वो प्रिंट समथिंग करेगा, बट एग्जिट कंट्रोल लूप के अंदर क्या है, वो एटलीस्ट प्रिंट कर देगा, उसके बाद में यहाँ पे वो कंडीशंस चेक करेगा. तो दिस इज द बेसिक डिफरेंस बिटवीन द loops, or we can say that this is the basic difference between the entry control loop and the exit control the loop. Now we are going to the do while loop. So as we say that in the do while loop, it is a part of the exit control loop where we have to be print first, after that we have to be check the conditions. So what is the syntax of this? Here we have to be do and repeat the code. If simply we have to be here, in the previous example we are here declare int I equal to 1, then we have to be check while I is less than equal to 5. Clear? So here we have to be declare here, and here we have to be apply the do, and inside the do we have to be declare that is printf and the percentile value d comma I, and we have to be do here that is I plus this. Okay, and this is inside the main block. So here what is do, it will be print something on the screen, after that it will be check the conditions, and we have to be defined as we have to be discussed in the previous lectures, when we have to be write conditions where, and we cannot be define the curly brackets, so it is mandatory that we have to be apply the semicolon at the last. तो मीन्स व्हेन इट विल बी गोज थ्रू आई इक्वल टू 1, डू के अंदर गया ट्रू, प्रिंट ऑफ आई, इट विल बी प्रिंट हेयर 1, देन वी हैव टू बी अपडेट द वैल्यू ऑफ I plus plus. Suppose we are taking here I equal to 6, so it will be go inside this, it will be print the 6 I plus plus. Is this it? Again it will be check whether means condition is true or condition is false, it will be print at least 1. So in simple words, we have to be, we are using the entry control loop, or we are taking the for loop and the while loop. If we have to be print the value suppose less than n, we are taking the input n, so it will be the repetitions that is n time. But here in the while loop, what is the repetition means, it will be check the conditions till 5, and one time it will be print before. So it means the number of iteration in the do while loop is the one more than the for and the while loop, or we can say that if for and while loop are executing in the n, and then it will be the number of the iteration in the exit and control loop is the n plus 1. So same here, firstly we have to be apply here, what is the syntax, do, then we have to be repetition the code, and after that we have to be apply the conditions. But the main thing is that when we have to be use the conditions, and we are not be here using these brackets, curly brackets, so it is mandatory that we have to be use the semicolon after this condition. So how does it will be work? Firstly we have to be start, then execute, after that it will be check the conditions. But in the previous we have to be start, then condition check, then execute, but here it will be start, execute, then check the conditions, and again go to the loop. Means I equal to 1, it will be print 1, that is I plus plus, it will be check 2 is less than equal to 5, again it will be go. So it will be check again and again. तो execution of the code at least once before checking the conditions, means अगर ये मेरा conditions चाहे true है या false है, at least, and we are using the do while loop, to at least it will be print one time whether the condition is true or condition is false. Now we are moving the flow chart of this. Firstly we have to be start, then we have to be initialize the loop variable, then it will be execute the body, then we have to be update the value. Same we have to be right here. Firstly we have to be start, initialize a variable, then we have to be print the value, then we have to be update, after that we have to be check the conditions. So it will be initialize the loop, execute the body loop, then we have to be update the loop variable. Now we have to be check the conditions ki what is the conditions. If condition is true, it will be again go, if condition is false, it will be end of the program. Now this is the example as we have to be discussed here. Same program we have to be apply here. Here we have to be apply while I is less than equal to 5, and we are not be using here these bracket, so it is mandatory that we have to be use the semicolon at the end of the while when we are using the do while loop, and inside do we are using these two conditions, print something and then I plus plus. So it will be check the conditions again and again if true. So at least if condition is false, so it will be print at least one time. Clear? Suppose we are taking same here, if we are taking I equal to 6, it will be print 6. Now it will be check 6 is less than equal to 5, condition is false. So it will be stop. But at least what is the my output? That is the on the output we have to be repeat the 6. So in the do while loop it will be print at least one time. Now we are focusing what is the basic difference between the for loop and the while loop and do while loop. So as we have to be discussed here, there are the three conditions. One is initialize, then we have to be check the conditions, and where we are using for loop and the while loop and do while loop. So inside this how we have to be initialize, we have to be initialize inside the for loop. यहाँ पे हमने किया था for loop, for के अंदर क्या initialize किया था, int variable I equal to 1. Where we have to be initialize, here we have to be initialize outside the for loop. So here where we have to be initialize a variable int I equal to 1, we have to be initialize before the for loop. So we can be say that in the while loop we have to be define or initialize a variable outside the loop. Same here, where in the do while loop we have to be defined the outside conditions. Before iteration, before print something, it will be first check the conditions, and here same in the while loop it will be check the condition first before it will be print, or we can be say that these two are the part of entry control loop. And here it will be check the condition after the iteration, at least print one thing. What we have to be write on the do while loop, then it will be execute do, after that we are using the while. Here हमने do को यहाँ पे define किया, while यहाँ पे, तो firstly execute कौन सा हो रहा है, do loop है, then it will be check the conditions. So here it will be check print first, then it will be check the conditions, mean it is a part of the exit control loop. So basically we can be divide these loop in the part of entry control loop and in the part of the exit control loop. Now use case where we are using the for loop and while loop and the do while loop. If we know where we are using the for loop, if we know the number of the iterations earlier, then it's better we are using the for loop. If we don't know the how many number of iterations it will be execute, then it's better we are using the while loop, and it will be where we are using the while do while loop, at least it will be execute once. So we are using the do while loop. This is the main, again we are repeating, if we have to be know in advance the number of the repetitions, then it better we are using the for loop. If we don't know the number of repetitions in advance, then we are using the while loop, and at least it will be print one time, so it's better we are using the while loop. So this is a basic difference between the key difference between the for loop, while loop and the do while loop. Now the best practice and firstly we have to be initialize a variable correctly. If we are not be initialize a variable correctly, the any loop cannot be work easily. Ensure loop conditions must be terminated. If suppose here we are not be using the semicolon here, so it will be not terminate properly. And last, update the loop variables value properly. So basically we have to be discussed only three part: initialize properly, then we have to be check the conditions correctly, and third one we have to be update the value properly. And what are the common pitfalls? Number one, infinite loop. Suppose we are putting while, and inside this we are using one number 1. So it means that if it will be go inside while condition is true, and then condition is true, it will be print. So it will be go through the infinite loop. Second one, O by 1 errors means when we have to be declare I is less than equal to 5 or I is less than 5 means we have to be correctly define the conditions from where to tell and how many number of iterations we want to be execute the values. So we have to be declare this value properly. Because this is a difference between if I is less than equal to 5 and I is less than 5 means here it will be goes through 1, 2, 3 and 4, but here if we are to be apply this condition, so it will be checked on 1, then second, then third, then fourth and fifth. So we have to be define the conditions correctly. What is the main conclusion? Again we have to be repeat, if we know the number of the iterations earlier, so we are using the for loop. In the while loop, it is flexible for uncertain conditions, means we do not know how much time it will be execute. So we are using the while loop. And next one is the do while loop. At least it will be generate one output, or we can say that it will be print at least one time. So it means it has a guarantee to print. It has a guarantee to print at least one execution. When we have to be choose based on the reliability, means how we can be define where we are using the, this is the basic part. If we know the number of iterations earlier, we use the for loop. If we don't know number of the iterations, then better we are using the while loop. And at least if we want it will be execute one time, then it's better we are using the for do while loop. But when we have to be used, it is based on the reliability and the task requirement. According to the requirement, we have to be define ki we are using the for loop, or we are using the while loop, and we are using the do while loop. Okay, now we have to be taking a sample. Now why we have to be discussed here? So because we are using here to print something on the screen. So it's better we have to be use the line print something in a single line. So there are the two options. We are using the printf. Suppose we have to be using these three lines. So simply we have to be declare printf in double quotes 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Then we are using slash n 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then again we are using the slash n 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So this is one type. If we want to be print this pattern, so we are using the printf, but this is not be a good pattern. If we have to be increase the value number of row, we have to be increase, or number of the stars we have to be increased. So how many times we have to be change this value? So this is not be a better way. Here we are using any type of the loop. We are using the for loop, we are using the while loop, and we are using the do while loop. So with the help of these for loop, while loop and do while loop, we have to be execute this program. So what does basically need? So firstly we have to be define ki I need how many number of lines. If we are talking, I need the number of line is 3. So we have to be create a loop. Suppose I am taking the for loop, so we have to be create a for loop for number of line. And second one, what we want in the first line, we want to be print the number of stars. So how many number of stars we have to be print in one line? So this is the basically 5. In the second line, how many number of stars? 5. So in third line, how many number of stars we have to be print? 5. So we have to be declare one loop for now how many number of line we are required. Second one, we have to be declare another loop, suppose 4, and it is used for how many number of star. Okay. So for the second loop, how many number of stars we want to be print. So in general term, if we want to be print this code, so basically we have to be apply two loop. One loop number of line, one loop for number of the line, and the second loop we are using for the number of star in each line. So means if we want to print the pattern, or we want to be print something on the screen like the pattern, or we have to be print 1 1 1 instead of star, I have to be print 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 something. So it's better we are using the loops, or we are using the for loop and the while loop and the do while loop. Here, which for loop, why I am focus here ki I am using the for loop, क्योंकि in every these lines, what is our requirement? Firstly means how many number of lines. So I required number of lines is 3. So I know before earlier ki how many times I repeat this loop. Second one, in each line, how many number of stars. So we have to be suppose 5 number of stars. So we use, or we know already ki how many times we repeat the number of loops. So again, if we know the conditions, number of iterations earlier, so it's better we are using the for loop. If we don't know the number of the iterations, then we are using the while loop. So here we are using, give an example ki I am using the for loop. So this is a basic difference between the for loop, while loop and do while loop, and how they execute, means what is the syntax of these 3 loops, and what is the difference between, basic difference between the do loop and the do while loop, and the for loop and the while loop. So in the next session, we have to be print the patterns like that. Suppose we have to be print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5. So in the next session, we are print the some patterns, and we are using the for loop. Again repeat, why we are using the for loop? Because we know the number of the iterations before or in earlier, so we are using the for loop. Okay, in the next session, we have to be discussed here the patterns in the loop. Thank you.